consent calendar, done. So item D, number 1 is the 2016 annual City of San Jose budget. So overview of key dates and timeline for the 26th budget, and commissioners will assist with communication of key budget dates to the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I thought it would be helpful. This is my second week back, so I'm trying to play some catch up. I don't know exactly where you are in the process, but I'm assuming that everything's being rolled out on the development of the 2016 budget. We've got a lot of new commissioners around the table that haven't been a part of this process yet. And also as a refresher for the commissioners that come back to this process now. You have a sheet that I handed out to you that you should have been able to pick up when you walked in here. It's the actual City of San Jose annual budget process. And it goes month by month, as you can see along the side there. I know some of you attended the mayor's priority setting budget session that occurred a couple of Saturdays ago. And that actually is the kickoff in terms of community input to the process. So, thanks to all of those that were able to attend that Saturday meeting, because that kind of sets some of the template for the budget message, which is going to come up here fairly quickly. But I thought that what can be a very confusing process might be simplified. And this is actually part of the budget document that's available in a giant binder, but is actually online from what I understand. And it breaks it down by residents, the mayor, council, and city administration. Although you're not in that as part of the process, part of what you're charged with is to develop recommendations, which you've been gathering information on. For the process itself. I think part of the interest for you, because you deal with residents out in the community, is the section on residents. And as you see, we're past February, we're into March, and the public hearing of the mayor's March budget message, like I said, is coming out. I don't know, Andrea, help me out. Is this maybe Friday or next week?
I'm not sure what date.
Yeah, it's going to be coming up fairly quickly though, within the next 5 or 6, 7 days, and then that triggers everything. So once that document is released, we'll send you a link to it so that you can take a look at it then, and that'll include all the key dates that you're going to be looking at. Including special council meetings that are going to be occurring during this time period to gather information. But the next piece of what you're going to be involved with, besides gathering information for the commission, is to be present at the community budget meetings that will be scheduled sometime in May. And those are the 10 council meetings that all of you, a few years past, there actually was a section where commissioners were encouraged to come and talk to the residents as well as the electeds there and let them know what the priorities were for the commission. So that should be something that, as those dates are going to be arranged. And I did check with the mayor's budget office last week. Those dates haven't been set up because they're going to be coordinated through each of the council offices. And last year they ran from the first week of May all the way to the last week of May. And so there are 10 meetings that occur pretty much during the actual week nights. They're not Saturday meetings, although some of them may occur on a Saturday, but the majority of them are going to be actually running through Mondays through Thursdays. Very rarely do you have a Friday meeting. So those will be the meetings. Once that listing is developed and announced, which I anticipate will probably be within the next, less than 30 days, then we'll send you the link out to that so that you're aware of the locations that, and the dates that they'll be occurring.
And we're not limited to going to our own district, we can go to anyone.
I'm sorry, what now?
I say any of us can go to any of our, all of the commission meetings.
Yeah, I mean, they happen in all the 10 council districts, so you are encouraged to show up to, whichever ones that you'd like to attend that work out for your schedule then. And it is interesting to attend them because having attended all of them myself last year, since I helped to put them all on and support, every area has different priorities that emerge. For instance, one of the things that emerged at one of the last meetings last year that I think will still be an issue was in the District 1 community budget meeting. It was interesting because it was the last meeting, and at the time, the priority that emerged out of that particular meeting was really quite fascinating. It had to do with street parking, which is a huge priority for them because of the enormous amount of development out of that area. So for them, the budget was how are you going to be able to let us park our cars out here, when you're allowing all this development to occur, but you're not allowing for the reality of how many parking spaces go along with that. So it was an interesting dynamic that came out of that because that was an overwhelming amount of people in that area. That was their big concern, was they had no place to park their cars. And yet they were paying taxes and through development, we're getting revenues in that area. And all they could see was more development occurring over the years. And yet, the parking situation was becoming dramatic. They actually were recommending coming out of that meeting that like with the downtown area around the university, that parking stickers be allowed. But there are certain stipulations under the DOT, which this commission has, the authority to take a look at their programs, that there are limitations in terms of what triggers those that availability for those parking permits. So even though people were saying, well, if we had the ability to go ahead and permit our areas, then it would lessen the amount of road parking. There's very specific details in the ordinance to allow that prevents that from happening. So it was an interesting dynamic because as a budgetary consideration that came out of that discussion, very different in District 1 than you would see anyplace else except for the downtown area. So anyway, so I encourage you as this list comes out, as you participate in your own discussions and you pass out information and connections to your own residents in your districts, that you might want to attend a few of these just to get kind of a flavor of what the budgetary considerations are in other parts of the city, because they are dramatically different. Even though they're very similar in a lot of different things, we'd like our garbage to be picked up, we don't want to have to pay extra, for this, things like that. We ought to clean up the graffiti and spend more money on that. There are some dramatic differences that emerge out of the discussions with the residents. So part of the process for this commission is to really stay connected with residents. So I would encourage you, as that listing comes out, that you might want to make time to attend some of these meetings, and even if you don't say anything, to listen to what is being discussed around the table, because that educates you to come back here to the commission and say, this is what I heard, and I think it's an emerging issue. So, as I said, for those of you that are new around the commission table, that haven't participated in this budgetary discussion before, it is important that you reflect what you're hearing from your community. that if the commission feels strongly on certain issues around the budget, that Larry be charged with coming to some of these meetings and giving public testimony on behalf of the commission, and he has in the past. As the issues emerge over the next 60 days, there'll be plenty of opportunities for the chair of the commission, with your support, to be able to voice some of those issues at these public hearings. Even though you as individual commissioners can't speak on behalf of the commission, you can listen to folks and take that back to Larry, to this commission, to reflect what that process is out there. I know that, as Andrea mentioned, the ballot measures are going to be part of the key discussion that's going to be occurring more than likely out in these community budget meetings. The support for, the money that can be raised through increased taxation. As Mayor Liccardo signposted at last year's community budget meetings, when he said very loudly, we're going to have to go out and raise taxes because that's the only way we're going to be able to provide, increasing city services, that more than likely you'll see some of that discussion going on out there, in the give and take as to whether this is a good idea, whether this is a bad idea, is this enough, whatever the case is. And also just the fact that, there are competing tax measures. BTA will be coming forward, and so the voters in the city of San Jose will be asked to decide on a variety of different tax measures that benefit the locality, but that in some cases may be in conflict with each other, just in terms of support. Stay tuned for that as it emerges coming out of this discussion. Having said that, I just think that as any of you have questions around this process that you aren't clear about, how to explain it to other people, let me know as staff, and I'll get you the answers that I can so that you can have something to go ahead and pass out to the community. Because I think part of what you want to have is your residents in whatever section of San Jose involved in thoughtful discussion around, what should be the priorities for spending money out in the city. And so hopefully this will give you a better sense of how it looks and where you fit into the process, so that you aren't not feeling comfortable about having a discussion with your own fellow residents. So anyway, that's an overview of where we are in the process right now, and be happy to provide any information or links, as we move forward in the process.
Ernest, can we get an electronic copy of this?
Yes.
I needed this this week.
Okay, we'll send it out to everybody then.
Okay, any questions and comments?
If you could just add the date of the public hearing on the mayor's March budget, the date that you weren't quite sure of, that would be great.
Right, yeah, as soon as we get the release and the document with everything, we'll send it out to the commissioners then.
So, there's not much to do this month. Then we're going to listen to the mayor's budget. So next month we'll have something to start talking about, and then we go to the district meetings and learn more, and we'll come back in May and write our letter to city council with our recommendations.
Well, you can write your letter to city council tomorrow. I think that was kind of your way you've been gathering information.
So
you can do a preliminary letter saying, here's where we've seen emerge so far. This is what the commissioners are doing.
So last month we took a motion to write a very brief letter to the mayor on behalf of the commission, saying it's important to allocate some funding for control of illegal dumping. And that letter was checked with legal, and then I sent it out to you and to the mayor and city council, and a copy of the clerk.
Right,
There's
that'll go-
confusion about the sequence because the clerk said it didn't go through you, so therefore the clerk didn't forward it, but meanwhile, everybody already got a copy of it, so I'm not sure what the point of them saying.
Yeah,
they forwarded it.
Yeah, that got a little, they got fairly confusing, but, and actually the attorney's office asked me if maybe it might be helpful for her to come and explain the process to the commission so that you're all very clear about it and it doesn't become something that's mysterious or obstructive.
We're just trying to do business at the speed of the internet.
Right, so as a matter of course,
Well, the mayor.
the way that you've done it is the way that you need to continue doing it. For instance, last year when you voted your budget recommendations, you gave them to me, and I formatted them and sent them to the clerk's office, so they were attached as documents for the council to refer to during their budget discussions.
Except that the mayor didn't get a copy of it until too late, and so he asked me to have my paper copy.
I don't, you know,
in my
and-
back pocket, and that was kind of awkward.
I can't speak to that. I mean, there's a process that we go through, and as you and I have been sharing emails, the way that it's supposed to work is you send me your copy, and then I format it, send it, you know, the attorney looked at it, the attorney said fine, and then it goes under our letterhead, it doesn't go individually. So that's kind of where I think it dropped the ball in this process. So it does need to go through staff to be forwarded through to the clerk. And then the clerk takes it on to the council, the mayor, et cetera, et cetera. So and then it becomes a matter of public record. So I think that's where we kind of have some misunderstanding. But that's the way we've done it in the past, and it's worked. And those documents are in the public record. So we just need to return to that and make sure that that's the process we follow through on. So you could do your budget letter. You've already authorized it. You gathered your information. This is actually the piece where I think we only got one more commissioner. Mimi was the only other commissioner that gave us the last of their budget recommendations from their community. We didn't receive anything from anybody else. So that's the information you're getting right now at this point, then.
So the information that I collected from District 6, I sent as a letter, my own signature,
Right.
as a personal letter to the mayor and city council. Didn't have to go through approval since it was a personal letter and called out as such. And
So my suggestion to you would be simply that you've gathered the information, you've asked the commission several times to give you the feedback from their community. You've gotten the information that you've gotten from the commissioners, whoever has provided you the information. Reformat that into a letter and then send it off then. The only other
would it
information.
do any good? Wouldn't it be better now to wait to hear what the mayor says first, since he's already putting the final touches on his letter? It wouldn't be influenced by anything we send in now, I understand. I talked to the budget director, he said any information now would not be useful. It would be better to wait till we hear what the mayor has.
Well, it's what you choose to do when you choose to do it. I know what you're saying is it's too early in the process for it to be what she's saying. But it's where you want to get into the process. So if you want to send something now, you can do that and say that, if you want to wait another month to do that, you can also do that. So it's up to you. But you gathered all the information you can. The commissioners have been given enough opportunities to go ahead and give you information within 30 days. If you get what you get.
Okay, so discussion, thoughts?
Just to clarify, so you've sent to the mayor your district
Yes.
piece, okay, and then the other piece that we sent in,
On
Ernest,
behalf of,
and
on
sent it
behalf
through a
of-
different channel?
On behalf of the illegal dumping was sent to the mayor and city council, copy to the clerk, and the clerk said she was not gonna put it in the official record because it didn't go through the channels. But nonetheless, the mayor and city council already got copies.
That's separate from the one that you sent
It
in.
is separate from the one I sent in, from District
Okay.
6. So there's one extra, I have not read Mimi's comments yet, so,
It just came in, yesterday, today. Yeah.
okay, so I'll have a chance to, do you want to talk about what your comments are?
So, everyone, my apologies, I could not get out of a commitment, so. Good evening, Mimi Hernandez, Commissioner, District 5. So what I did, is that I started to poll my neighbors and talk about some of the things that are working and that are not working, that are currently being funded or could possibly be funded in the future. So what I did, I just kind of summarized some bullet points. So based on my conversation with my neighbors and residents in District 5, these are some of our suggestions. Continue to invest in cleanup efforts such as neighborhood cleanups, dumpster days, increase awareness of current programs, city funds for avoiding illegal debris and dumping in our neighborhoods. So last month we had a wonderful presentation and we were brought forward a great solution to, I think, the number one concern that my neighbors always share with me. So, more of that would be great. The street lighting, I think, in order to be efficient and to have more money in our budgets, it would be great if they were all transitioned to energy efficient and to make sure that the current lights are being repaired in a timely manner. Darkness just brings trouble. When you shed light in our neighborhoods, you prevent crime, and it just looks much better. Anyways, it's just safer. When I did share the presentation that we had from the gang task force, a number of my neighbors expressed the concern that we could not give them details on what is actually being done to help female offenders or female gang members. What are some of the things that we are doing? And if you might remember, one of my questions to the gentleman from the gang task force is, can you specify? Can you please elaborate a little bit more? And he did not. So I want to know what is being done. I raised 3 girls. Certainly if any of them had gotten in trouble at any point, I would love to have known that there was some engagement and some funding equally to what is being done for males to help them out. Then you're only addressing half of the problem. So library funding, the library got more funding last year to be able to do after school and do more things for families. We think that should be increased. Homelessness, we don't want to complain about the homeless. The homeless are our neighbors, and this is a Christian nation, so I think we should be compassionate, and that's what I got from my neighbors. So parking lot facilities or areas where they can camp overnight. In the news recently, there was a church nearby that is going to be allowing the homeless to park overnight. The real answer, build affordable housing, for seniors, for veterans, and make it a top priority, not just talk about it because it sounds good in a speech to get elected. And also the ease of rules to enable families to add a second unit so that they can have other family members living with them. It's not necessarily they're going to rent it out to a renter. Most of my neighborhood, we have really big lots. We have big families. We would love to have 2 or 3 generations of our family live with us, because the reality is, even if you are a family that is working, you're not going to be able to afford to buy a house out here. So that's another solution that we came up with. The youth summer program last year was very positive. Young people are busy and they feel worthy. It's a win-win for the city and for the youth themselves. One thing that we do have a lot is the illegal taco stands that come up on the east side. There's a live and let live mentality. So there's a taco stand that could stand there for months without the DEH coming in and inspecting them. Again, there's no protection to the consumer that is buying these things, and it's unfair to the businesses that pay into business taxes, that pay workers' comp, that pay a lease. So we want to make sure that there's enforcement for that. The business improvement districts, I think we haven't touched on this a lot, but when you have a lot of older buildings where the landlords are coming in, they're from overseas, they're renting their business spaces out, but they never invest in making sure that they look a little bit nicer. So funding some of the improvements to the business districts would be great. Very important, our police and fire staffing. I think at some point we only had 4 police officers assigned to our entire district. You know, this is unacceptable. So we need to make sure that we do everything we can to retain the talent that we have in San Jose, and that we don't retain talent that is no good. Fund the arts and family innovation venues. In the east side, there's very little parks. There's very little open spaces. I see more of the people gathering at shopping centers, which I think is the wrong message to our families. So we would like to see more of that. And I think that was pretty much it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Juan?
I just want to add one or two things, and that is that especially near the Story White Road area, we need streetlights, and that's as opposed to updating existing streetlights. There is a lack of streetlights, and it seems to not be on anybody's radar because everybody's worried about improving the existing streetlights, and so that's what I'm hearing a lot of, and we'll be talking about later this month, the need for streetlights so that the street isn't dark. So it'd be good if some funds were devoted to that. And in addition to the call for money for business districts, to maybe have even more business districts, so that if some areas are not covered by a business district and could benefit, perhaps additional districts could be added, if that makes sense, maybe?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I'm still questioning the timing. I mean, good comments, and I think right now it would be more appropriate to wait to hear what the mayor has and then add these as responses. Do you think?
I think you need to get it in early because early birds get worms.
If I may, check.
We don't want to be the last in.
And the mayor's budget passage is coming up this Friday.
Oh, it's Friday.
So it'll be too late to get into the raw budget. We can respond to the budget.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, is if we wait a week, then we can see what he has in it, then we can compliment him on including some of the things that are in there, and then say, oh, we left out these things. But rather than listing all of the things, you can say, yes, you agree with the budget that has these things in it, and then concentrate on the ones that are missing.
I don't know, I like to be proactive, I don't like to be reactive, but that's just my style. And so I would move that we are proactive in our input.
Okay, because I was trying to get the input last month to be proactive to get into the budget, which is why we did the illegal dumping and then the stuff from District 6. And
I didn't get this email until after that meeting, but once I did receive it and I knew we needed to do it, I did it.
So, David.
David Dearborn, District 6. It was mentioned that maybe a preliminary letter or information piece could be delivered to staff, and then a follow-up letter from the commission in comment to the mayor's proposed budget. That would be 2 documents that would accommodate getting on the table all of the concerns of D5 and others, and that would maybe include D6. And then, but that's just a laundry list with comments and editorial and background. And then boil that down to a comment on the mayor's budget to follow that, once we've heard it, seen it.
Because then I guess we're getting 3 letters, because we've already sent a preliminary one.
Oh.
We sent one last month, is what I'm saying. I like the input. I'm kind of wondering perhaps you could, as the 2 of you representing D5, could write on behalf of D5, just like we wrote on behalf of D6, and encourage other people to write on their own districts. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics here. This is why I'm torn. I wish we got the input last time. I would have loved to have had the fold in there.
That was my second meeting, so.
Yes. Yes, Juan?
I think what I hear is a concern that we might do a 3rd letter if we had a 2nd letter, and I'm not sure that I totally understand that concern. And so I know that as the mayor is forming his opinion, it would benefit him to have this information, and if someone is telling you, well, it might not even be considered, I think to echo Ernest, we have to do what we believe is best, right? And, even today, I heard A, and I have my option. So I suggest that, we provide the information. If someone chooses not to consider it, then they don't. But we give them the opportunity because it can shape their message. So, I would motion to add a new second letter to make it 3 if we need to, in order to be able to provide, input.
So should we then include the stuff from District 6 and Pete's stuff from downtown and,
Well, I don't know why we wouldn't. I can't figure that out.
so fold all of the stuff into it?
Yeah, don't hold back any input.
Paul?
Question. Is the issue that we're concerned that the information will dribble in and won't be shaped? Is that why we don't want to send sequential letters?
In part, that I'm afraid that at this point, he's so busy crafting the final words that anything we turn in now will be just put on the shelf, and then by the time he's ready to get comments, he'll say, oh, it's out of date.
And it will only be part of like one tiny little slice of the pie, if you will. Okay. Thank you.
That's my concern, is that the timing is wrong. The time to hit was either last month or next month. This month, he's so busy crafting what he's gonna say Friday that he won't listen to us. That's my
They'll
concern.
never listen to us if we don't send anything at all.
I'm sorry, what?
I would second Juan's motion that we move forward.
So, okay.
Yeah, the other question I had, or concern, is we're getting bits and pieces that it's all good information, and we've accumulated some. And now we're gonna have district meetings throughout the district on the budget. There'll be more supposedly input given. And the timing, when is all this, seems like we should have had the district meetings first, so that this stuff gets compiled and then put in a package and submitted. You see what I mean? We're getting, it's all cobbled together. I don't see the continuity here. Maybe they're gonna
Okay,
Point of order, I heard a motion and a second.
So this is a discussion right now.
Okay, and so then we'll vote after the discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we're having discussion first, and then you can call the question, but right now trying to discuss the issue.
I mean, everything I've heard is good. I mean, the input, you know, and what's been provided by everybody here, but what I'm concerned about the timing and what is gonna be considered.
Right, so, like I said, before the last meeting, last month, so a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, we were trying to get input out, to get input from all the different districts. I asked staff and forward to everybody to start getting requests. You might not have gotten it in a timely manner, but we tried to get the information out. To get, and then we did not write a letter with all of the input last month because it was noted that it was all from only one district. And so it felt like it wasn't fair to all the other 9 districts. So now we have input from 2 districts. It's still unfair to the other 8 districts. Or you didn't, or I don't know. David?
I don't know how long it would take for this input from D5 and from D6 to get formatted to staff, to legal, to letterhead, to rules to be entered to council. It may be, this is a question, for D6, D5, other districts that have burning concerns, things they would like to put into the message, to go direct, because without it being through the commission, there's nothing that hobbles or gets in the way of your timeline. As fast as you can put it on paper, organize it, and deliver it to enough people in the process of forming the budget, you're there.
That was my recommendation, that it be coming from the 2 of you saying that you have collected information from your district. You can say, you cannot say that you're speaking on behalf of the neighborhood commission, but you can say that you're commissioners and you have listened to your district, and this is what you've heard in your district, speaking on behalf of your district. These are the issues that are important to your district. And then we will fold it all into, I mean, this is good input, and I'm just trying to do the timing right, because like I said, I talked with the budget director a week ago, and he was saying that this was not the time to give the input, that it was to wait till we've heard the mayor's budget and respond to it.
I want to respond to that.
Yes.
If I may. With all due respect, if we're talking about fairness, is it fair that we spent the time collecting the information and we spent the time providing the information to you when everyone here was asked and was given the choice to provide the information and for whatever reason didn't? Is it fair to my neighbors that they took the time to provide me the input and that I took the time to provide this information and other people chose not to?
I was just repeating what I was told last month when I did
Yeah.
the same
So exactly, so
situation.
we were given a chance, right?
Mary, I think I was next.
Can I,
I'll just go around this way. I've lost track of whose hands up next.
just to make sure I understand. So D5 could submit its excellent inputs directly without any waiting or processing and have that information in the mayor's hands, say tomorrow. And then next month, that information would again be folded into a broader sculpted shaped message, and by process of repetition would actually be seen twice. Would that be a fair assumption?
Not necessarily, but do you want me to go next? Or?
Well, I mean,
I don't think that would be a fair assumption. So, and here's why. So Larry, I understand what you're saying. You were told by someone, and that someone is not the mayor, that if you submit it now, the mayor may not review it. And so I don't know if you have a connection to the mayor, ask him, because that's the only way you'll know. My past experience has been that he tunes into things if he wishes to. So I just throw that out there. The second thing is, the neighborhood commission provides input directly to the city council and the mayor. And so that's a little different from, commissioners from this district have some input. And there is no reason that you can't clearly indicate in a letter that this is input from District 6, this is from District 5, this one's from District 3, if I heard correctly. There's no reason you can't do that. And so I don't know that we should second guess whether something will be considered or not, or whether a process will work or not, or at which stage something will be seen. I think that we could wait for perfection, and you know what might happen? What if one district doesn't provide any input by the deadline? Well, then none of ours will move forward out of a quest for fairness, I think. And so I think we're ready to move forward, and I hope that we are ready to move forward, and that in the future we don't put things off because we want to wait for everyone to chime in.
Gary, and you solicited from everyone, none of the items that I see on this list, I would have any, issue with. Some of them are common from the different districts. So I don't see why this can't be a commission product. I mean, I don't know why it has to be tailored, why it has to be tailored to a specific, this is commission input from everybody.
Okay, yeah, like I said, the intent was to get it in last month while I was drafting it, or else wait until it was finished. Right now, I'm only worried about the timing, but if it is you want to make a comment?
Yeah, well, for further consideration, I found the official schedule online. The March budget message will be released on March 11th. March 21st is when the public hearing will be held on it. March what? 21st. March 22nd will be the final review by the city council, so I believe that's a Monday and then a Tuesday. And then the proposed capital budget, capital improvement budget is in April, but that's less of what we're concerned with. And then there's a series of further steps. Basically, the influence is on the city council from this point on.
So we have a motion on the floor to write a letter with folding all of the inputs in, some of which you've seen before, some of which would be duplicated, some of which is new. And send it in as timely as possible, which would be kind of in parallel. I feel like it's Christmas cards passing each other in the mail that no one responds to the other one, but.
You could even CC the mayor's office on it.
And is the trouble with
Suggestion.
legal again?
Oh,
I've already
oh,
got my
sorry.
helpless rabbit, okay.
Actually, I see this as an opportunity. You know, we can have the opportunity for a letter to be more impactful. Because the mayor has been reading letters for like months and months and months and months, a recommendation. Everyone knows that the best retention is within 48 hours of having to make a decision. So I actually see this as an opportunity for whatever we submit to be more impactful. Either that, or it's gonna get lost in the shuffle. But if we do nothing, then we know for sure 100% that it's not going to be impactful. If we do something, we know there's a 50-50 chance that it will be.
Linda?
I don't see us, a letter coming out tonight even, or tomorrow, as being impactful to the mayor. The mayor is not gonna be doing his budget message at midnight on Thursday night, because it's coming out Friday. And if we wanna send something in and have it go in, it doesn't bother me that much. The word fairness to me is lost. I don't know why anybody would say it's not fair. We've had plenty of ample time. We've been given notice, to give our input. If we didn't do it, that's too bad. But we can have our say here now and say, yes, we like what we hear. Yes, that's what our community's saying. So we could piggyback on those things. But we need a formal letter eventually coming out. But I would like to see us say, here's what the mayor's saying. We agree with these things, Mayor. You didn't think about these things, and our community is thinking about these things. So
That would be the
what I
reason
would-
for waiting a month to hear what the mayor
Exactly.
says. David?
And to Matt's point, from this point forward, it's the council that we have to influence, because the mayor has put his on the table, and the community and the council have to deal with that. And so, however you want to do it, I agree with you, but be proactive, but at the same time, we have to look to the council to influence their input to the budget, from what Matt said.
So I'm looking forward to us doing a well-crafted, thought-out letter in May, where we've seen the mayor's budget, and gotten input from our communities, and get a lot of input. The question is whether we do another letter now. Okay, Juan?
So I appreciate a lot of what you do, Larry, but I keep hearing you reiterating the opinion that we should not move forward. And it's almost like I've just heard it about 4 or 5 times.
Right, I don't know that it's an option between doing nothing. I think we have a third way, which is what Larry did last month, when it looked like there wasn't gonna be able to provide input. So regardless, the commissioners themselves, signing a letter as neighborhood commissioners, can get that information tomorrow morning or tonight into the hands of the people we're trying to get it into, versus take the risk of Christmas cards in the mail. So I think that there's a viable solution to get this information out, no matter how you slice it. So I think that's an assurance here that you have.
Okay, so let's phrase the question, shall the commission send a letter in as timely fashion as possible with the information from all that's collected here now, in addition to the follow-on letter in May? So all in favor of sending out a letter now, in addition to the one that was already sent and the one that will be sent, this third letter? All in favor of sending the third letter now? So,
There was actually a motion.
right, and that's what I'm
No, I'm sorry.
trying
It's
to
calling the
clarify.
emotion. The emotion.
So the question is,
Call
I'm
the
calling,
budget.
all in favor of sending out a letter now with this information, say aye.
Aye.
Right, I mean, let's count hands and, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, all want to send a letter, only send a letter later, say.
That wasn't the motion.
Okay, well,
Larry.
the motion is, do we send a letter now? And
The
so,
motion was to send this letter. I just heard a vote of 12.
and I'm saying, in opposed, I'm just getting a full count, so
So you're saying, oh, so you're
He
asking
wants
for nays?
everybody to be accountable.
Yea or nay or abstain, so they're.
Right, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were giving a different option.
No, I'm trying to paraphrase what a no vote, so I don't want a no vote to be misunderstood as to what the no
Okay.
vote means. So the no vote means not that we're not going to ever send out a letter, or not ever acknowledge the stuff, but that we would send it out after we've heard from the mayor. And so that's what I'm voting for, that's a no vote on this measure. And so- Okay, well, now we've got a double vote now.
Well, yeah,
That's
I
right.
was confused.
Exactly.
The way you said it.
Right, so option A is we've already sent out one letter
Yes.
about illegal dumping. It was sent out in time to affect the mayor's preliminary draft. That was sent out, done. Do we send out another letter now while the mayor is busy working on his wording? And do we also send out a third letter in May in response to the mayor? Or do we only send out a letter in May?
So to reiterate, the motion on the floor is to send a letter now that will be in addition to the letter that was sent in May.
Correct. So who wants to?
And there was a vote of 12, which means.
But some people said that they changed their mind too, so that's why she said.
It did get very confusing once we
have
moved
two
to
options.
passing the motion.
Yeah.
Well, can I suggest one made the
I
motion?
was
that
in
one
opposition to
articulates
the
the
What
motion?
does Juan read the motion?
Juan,
Yeah.
let's, we've got a double vote here, so let us redo this, I'm sorry. Juan, say your motion exactly, please.
Okay, let me see.
What was it?
So the motion is to submit, the input provided by, commissioners, for their districts now.
Okay.
That's it.
And what was the other option gonna be?
Well,
You need to
he-
wait,
there is no
you need
other
to wait
option.
both
There's no
options.
other
Okay.
option.
So if we send it out now,
That's his motion.
we will still send out a letter in May. The other option is we do not send out information now, and we only send out information in May. So do we send out a note now and in May, or just in May? So who wants to do it now and in May? Say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who wants to send out only in May? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Can't be this.
Can't be.
Send out both.
Wasn't it
They
8?
recount 2, 4, 6, 8,
Where's the chair vote?
10,
Where's the chair vote? You can't.
16, 17.
I have a vote, I'm going to abstain.
It did not pass.
17 feet.
8 out of 17, it did not pass.
On the second try. I appreciate it.
I mean, I see why you want to do it, and I appreciate it, and I encourage you to write your own letter.
I have to make a statement. I'm a little concerned that we had two votes on the same motion. There was a rearticulation of the motion that went beyond the motion.
That's true.
I know you're trying to clarify, Larry, but there was a motion for one that was limited. And it was, I think, limited, is my understanding, to should we send out a letter now?
Right.
And it didn't have a ... or it was a period.
No, it didn't. Right.
Or vice
So-
versa.
It was yes or no on that.
So
Yes
it
or no?
it was a very confusing rearticulation, I think is, and I know you're trying to add clarity, I don't think you accomplished that. I think the motion was the motion.
I have to apologize, but I must admit to you, the way you presented that motion, I was left totally confused. It was ambiguous. So I think you did the proper thing, and there was more than one person in this room who found the way you presented it as being ambiguous. And I can even tell you why. The reason I voted the way I did is that I just had something recently where I had hoped the mayor would come up with an answer within 2 days. He didn't, and it wasn't because he wasn't interested. It is because he's overwhelmed. And we've already presented. It's not like these elements that you mentioned are going to be forgotten about or omitted. And in fact, for those of us who went to the budget meeting 2 weeks ago, a lot of what you said, not everything, because you've got some wonderful suggestions in what you read tonight, but a lot of what you read were discussed at that budget meeting.
That's right.
Discussed, not just discussed, but we had to send it in writing to the mayor.
Was that for the commission or was that for a different purpose?
That was for the commission members were invited, but it was something that has been going on now for 7 years,
Right.
where the mayor is getting input from the entire San Jose area as to what matters to us as citizens in San Jose. And so what you suggested will not just be something that's addressed for District 5, but it will encompass aggregately the entire San Jose. So I just wanted to tell you why I voted the way I did.
Okay, as staff, I want to interject something because I think at the beginning of the meeting, there was some discussion about the fact that because you didn't have any presenters or anything today, you have plenty of time to cover a lot of the items. You're still on item 1, heading towards 8 o'clock. So as staff, I feel a duty to remind you that managing your time effectively is part of what you need to do to be able to get through other items so that you have, like you said, more time to talk about future agenda items or other issues,
So noted, Juan.
Just the last one, I'm sorry, I have to do this, and so I respectfully request that we ask staff to determine whether it was appropriate to have 2 motions, one followed by the other, one which passed, one which was re-articulated, and a second one, and whether the first one should stand or the second one. So I think we need clarity. I'm sorry, but I've never seen that.
I saw people raise their hands.
No, I got you. So I think it would be helpful to
I
have the city manager's office weigh in legally on whether the first motion should have stood.
Take care of the letter, that will not be happening, because
Public comment, you want to say something very quickly?
I've worked on the budget for the city for a long time, and probably 15 years or more. The concern you run up against on this is you've got a huge list of things you're sending to the mayor. And realistically, after the mayor's budget message is put in, the process is if any council member wants to substitute things, they have to take something out equal to it. So by sending this large list in, your probability of success is very low. And you spend political capital doing that. You might want to consider narrowing the list down to 1 or 2 important issues that a number of council members could co-sponsor, rather than the long laundry list you have now. Otherwise, you continue to spend political capital and get no result. Thank you.
Real quick. I want to comment on one comment. I think this is really important, and it's from a process standpoint. Usually, we've done a pretty good job here. When someone makes a motion, it gets seconded, we go to vote, the discussion happens. I always thought that happened before the motion, the second, right to vote. But whatever the process is, it didn't just happen. So it's important that we don't do that we don't have a motion, a second, a vote, and then a further discussion, then a re-articulation of the motion, and then another vote. So this is a bad thing, so we need to fix that.
Right.
I just saw people vote twice and express confusion, that's why I tried to clarify. We need to move on, so,
So however we handle that, staff should probably weigh in as Juan has suggested, so that we can make sure that the process is understood, we don't vote twice on the same matter, unless there's a real, crisscross. There was a re-articulation of the motion, and folks didn't understand the up or down vote that they were making, so the process has to be crisp. Real quick.
how do we, do you want me to have a third vote?
No,
Refer
Right.
to staff so
So,
that we
thank
can
you.
get clarification and know.
So
what's
we're not
staff.
sending a letter right now, but I encourage you to please send a letter on your own. It'll be faster, and we will consider it for our May letter.
I think, I don't think we need to go to city manager anytime, but we had, motion made, just restate the motion, what you're on board, what that motion is, and then we can vote on it. I mean, I think that's where some of the.
So, sorry, I'm confused.
So I don't think we need to go to the city manager.
Larry,
Yes.
the other part was when you got the ayes, then you wanted to know, because you didn't get a unanimous vote, you needed to ask for nays or abstains. And when you started to do that, that's when Juan said, what are you doing? Why are you making more counts? You have to go both, but that's what happened. That's what
He didn't
happened.
ask for nays, what he said
He
was,
did.
or would you rather do this other thing?
He just
He
was
didn't
trying to,
say
he was
how
trying
many
to
nays.
get the other side, yes. He
How
was
many
trying to get the
abstains?
other side, but you have to be able to account for everybody that voted. How did everybody vote? And
Right,
he
so I
didn't
saw
get
that
to
there
do
were
that.
12 in favor, and there could have been up to 5 nays, but
Or
nays were
abstains,
requested.
yeah.
got more than 5 nays, that's
Well, some of the same people who voted yay, voted nay. So of course, that's
why.
what mentioned the whole process.
Do everything.
So,
The reason why Juan stopped you, and I studied Robert's rules since I started coming here, just to freshen myself up. The minute we voted 12 yays, your next step would have been to ask for the nays. However, because you paused and you started to elaborate about different things, that's why Juan interjected, because I don't think he felt that you were following procedure.
We have a recording, we could provide it, I will provide it.
I apologize, I am trying to explain what a nay was, I should have just simply said nay.
Nays, that's right.
Okay, anyhow, moving on.